So the Miami Dolphins are in a tough spot right now. They just paid Jalen Waddle. They've already, been paying Tyreek Hill a ton of money up there when it comes to wide receiver contracts. And Tyreek could also want to get a new contract sometime soon. And so the Dolphins right now are having to decide if they want to make Tua Tagovailoa one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. And here's the tough thing for teams when it comes to quarterbacks who I think are maybe more so in the 8 to 15 range when it comes to quarterbacks, 5 to 15 range. These guys, while they are still in the better half of quarterbacks in the NFL, they're not at that top tier level like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Joe Burrow, like a Josh Allen. And so because of that, and because the quarterback market is always taking strides forward, you see quarterbacks who are worse than different other QBs making more money. For example, right now, Patrick Mahomes is still at $45 million per year. Josh Allen's at $43 million per year, and Jared Goff just got a deal for $53 million per year. Clearly, that does not prove Jared Goff is a better quarterback than Mahomes or Josh Allen. It's just because of when they sign their deal, the salary cap is always increasing. The NFL is always making more money. So all these contracts at every position, they're always jumping each other. And so that's where it puts teams in tough situations. And let's say for the Miami Dolphins. Now, you can make an argument. I know people can make arguments. Tua's probably making the argument that he should be one of, if not the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. I think from a regular season perspective, you look at last year's stats for Tua, you could make that argument. 29 touchdowns, which was 5th in the NFL. 4,679 yards, which was 1st in the NFL. And of quarterbacks with at least 100 attempts, he had a 101.5 passer rating, which was 5th in the NFL. So just looking at those regular season stats, Tua, and I would assume he is making the argument that he should be a top 5 highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Now, I don't think Tua is a top 10 quarterback. He's right on the fringe there for me, maybe more in the 10 to 12-ish range. And my reasoning is when you look at Tua, and last year when he played non-playoff teams, it was much different when he played playoff teams versus non-playoff teams. Just looking at a few stats right here. His passer rating versus non-playoff teams last year, 2nd in the NFL. His passer rating versus playoff teams, 25th in the NFL. And he lost his playoff game versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And so while Tua had an incredible regular season, I'm just not sure I trust him at the same level as I trust guys like Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson when it comes to his ability to compete at a high level against very, very good teams. And because of that, I do not think that Tua is a top 5 quarterback. And so at that point, you'd say, okay, well, then he doesn't deserve top 5 money. But as I talked about earlier, because of the contract, the market, the quarterback market, and the way it is right now, you have guys who maybe even aren't top 5, maybe are on the fringe there, making top 5 money. And so that's the position that teams are in, where when you have a quarterback, let's say in the 7 to 15 range when it comes to ranking, because that QB market is always going up, if you want to keep your guy, you may even have to pay him as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, even if he's the 10th best quarterback in the NFL. And so at that point, it's just like, is it worth it? Because the other option for these teams who, let's say, have the 10th best quarterback in the NFL, you could decide to let him go, but then you're risking having to move to another quarterback who could be the 20th ranked quarterback in the NFL. And sure, you're paying them less money, but then you're having a bad regular season, not making the playoffs. And so that's why I think these teams have decisions to make, and why lots of times we see quarterbacks who are maybe ranked 10 to 15 make top 5 money, because these teams are not willing to risk having to go back to the rookie market, in the draft, trying to find another guy, because it's so hard to find good quarterbacks in the NFL. And are you really willing to risk letting go of the 10th best quarterback in the NFL, the 14th best quarterback in the NFL, whoever that person is in your mind? Are you willing to risk moving off of them to try to get a top 5 guy, but you have the chance of getting the 25th, 30th ranked quarterback in the NFL? And that's why I think we do see teams stick with these quarterbacks, because if you're making it to the playoffs, you're at least giving your team a shot. And while I don't think Tua is of the same caliber as Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert in my mind, I think that the Dolphins are probably going to have to pay him, because the other option is much riskier, and you run the risk of completely demolishing your team. Well, maybe you have a chance of getting top 5 guy. I don't know how they would find someone with the way their team is set up right now, because they probably wouldn't have a top draft pick. But that's just the situation the Dolphins are in. So I would assume that Tua makes $50+ million, even though I don't think that he is technically a top 5 quarterback. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you want more NFL content, feel free to subscribe down below. And I'll see you guys next time.